Okay, guys, we are live. Big game on Saturday. We're going to have a nice little chat, the three of us. Now, Keith could pop in, and he might pop in, and we'll see what happens with that one. Two legends. Ivan Jennings, at Ivan Jennings on Twitter, as usual, in the house. Ivan, how are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just looking forward to Saturday. Premier League is back, you know, the real football, as I say, and a big game at Anfield at 5:30 on Saturday. Arsenal, Liverpool. We're going to chat about it as well. And the legend down below, it's Jack Mac LFC, YouTube legend. Jackie boy, how are you?
Thank you very much, Dave. The best intros known to man, Dave does. Cheers for having me on, mate. It was great to speak to Ivan and everyone in chat.
Absolutely. We're going to have a nice little chat here about the Arsenal game because I think this will be a tough game. I really do. We got to bring our A game into this, or we will not get anything out of the bloody game because Arsenal are on a little bit of a run. Let's say is it 10 games, 8 wins, 2 draws, something like that. So it's a decent run. Of course, we lost just before the international break 3-2 to West Ham. We needed a quick pick-me-up, and we didn't get a pick-me-up. We got the international break, which brought me down. That was the problem. I want to pick up on Saturday against Arsenal, but I am really looking forward to it. Ivan, we've had some games against Arsenal over the years at Anfield. Yeah. Remember the 4-4, Arshavin?
Remember the Arshavin, yeah.
Is that one of your favourites? Have you any favourite memories of the Liverpool games against Arsenal at Anfield?
Yeah, do you know what I remember? One that sticks in my mind. Like we've had great results over them the last couple of years, anyway. But one that sticks in my mind is Robbie Keane's game where he scored the
off the crossbar and it bounced down. Yeah.
The connection he got in the ball, you just won't see a better connection. Like literally half volley, boom, and in. But you kind of like playing Arsenal, and we've had a couple of little wobbles against them where they've gone kind of 1-up, and we've turned back. The other one that sticks in my mind is I think it was 4-1 we beat them, and Bobby got a hat trick, and he scored an absolute worldie where he put 2 or 3 of them on the backside.
Inside out.
Wonderful stuff. So, I'm hoping they'll be on a bit of a bump with the results. They haven't really played anybody. I think probably Leicester's probably the toughest game they had.
Chelsea beat them. Didn't Chelsea beat them?
Yeah, but I mean the best result they've had is probably Leicester. But if they come and play, we should be turning them over, and hopefully we come back with a bang from the international break.
No, absolutely, Jack. I presume you like a game against Arsenal, especially at Anfield. We have a very good record against it recently. Okay, we've had a few blips. I know they beat us, but that was away with no crowds and stuff like that. But we've been decent against them at Anfield. They seem to suit us. Their style suits us.
Yeah, very much so. Stylistically, they're not going to do not like even though West Ham play well, but a team that had low blocks, Sam Allardyce, that style football, that will frustrate really Liverpool. But it should be end to end. Hopefully, Liverpool, we've got our shooting boots on. I think it'll be interesting to see how Arsenal do approach this game this weekend. Whether they're a bit more reserved in terms of attack and output. If they do try and defend a bit more, but it all comes down to the Arsenal players. We were speaking to our good mates, the Arsenal fans, this week, weren't we, Dave? And it's whether all 11 players on the football pitch for Arsenal can very much do. Yes, they've got some great attacking players, but what West Ham done very well, which we seen a couple of weeks ago, was Bowen or Ben Rahman, you would have took it in very well.
Yeah.
And if Lacazette or Aubameyang have got that defensive side of their game, because we've seen even when Brighton come to Anfield a couple of weeks ago, they worked their backsides off to get a point, and they were unlucky not to get all 3 against us. But if Arsenal can be arsed to get the defensive side of the game, I didn't even mean that. Can be asked, but it'd be interesting. I'm intrigued to see. Obviously, we know how Liverpool are going to play, but in terms of Arteta, they beat sides this season that they're expected to beat. This is another fixture for Arsenal to see where they are up to in terms of competing for the top 4.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know what to expect from Arsenal, but they've actually been decent defensively, which is a bit of an unusual thing to say about Arsenal. And they've 1 or 2 really good young lads, the likes of Saka, of course, and Smith Rowe. He really looks like a proper player. But you know, if their goalkeeper's decent as well, isn't it? He's come on. He got a lot of stick at the start. Ramsdale, isn't it? He got a lot of stick, but he looks decent, young keeper. So, Ivan, what do you think? I mean, obviously 3 points are huge. We just got to go with 3 points at home. There's just no other way out of it, especially from the result we had the last time against West Ham. But what way do you think Klopp will approach it?
Yeah, I think Arsenal are probably the perfect team for us, and Arteta is the kind of perfect manager. I don't think he has, like, your point is right. They've definitely defended very, very well. The keeper's pulled off a couple of worldies in the last couple of games, but I don't think they have a real different plan B where they go, okay, we're up against Liverpool, we play 5 at the back, or we go with a low block. They don't have that. Arteta just doesn't have that in his locker. Do you know what I mean? And he just, I think even from his football and principles, he wouldn't play defensively. So I think it'll be a modified version of the attacking kind of football that they play. And I don't think they'll set up any differently to how they have. They'll probably sit a little bit deeper and be a little bit more defensive, but more controlled, I think. But I still think they'll be pretty open. And I still like the likes of Saka and Aubameyang and Smith Rowe. They're going to try and attack it as best they can. And that, in fairness, that's our opportunity with Tsimikas, likely if he plays, and Trent on the other side. So it's a perfect game for us. And I think it's a perfect game for Klopp. He'll be rubbing his hands going, yeah, this is a perfect, like if we were coming back playing West Ham or Brighton or something like that, where the coach thinks a little bit more and thinks a little bit more about the opposition, that's a tougher game to come back to. So this one to me is perfect for us.
It's perfectly suited, isn't it? Yeah, the 5:30, the darkness sets in, the lights, Anfield Saturday, as you said, everybody be merry. Let's put it that Merry Christmas, an early Merry Christmas.
Indeed.
At Anfield. Yeah, Jackie boy, it is the. I think it is one of the. I suppose it is. I mean, if you're away at Arsenal, it mightn't be as perfect, but Arsenal at Anfield, as you say, the record in the last 10 games is really, really good against them. Salah's a great record again. I think he scored 7 goals against them, you know, and something like 3 or 4 assists. So he likes them. He's actually on a goal drought, by the way, Salah. He hasn't scored in about 2 or 3 games, which is really unusual for Mo. So I'm expecting Mo to turn up and get a goal or 2 on Saturday. So what do you think? What way do you think Klopp will approach the game? By the way, Keith will be with us in 2 minutes.
So yeah, as Ivan's alluded to there, I think we very much will go all out. And obviously Robbo, has it come out how long he's going to be out for? I think it's a couple of weeks, hamstring injury, is it?
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for Costas. Yeah. I don't get this notion of fans or supposed fans jumping on the bandwagon going, yeah, he's injured, thank God, because they all wanted Costas to play. No. We wanted both of them to stay fit for the large portions this season.
I see that on Twitter. That on Twitter, like wishing your player that you've idolised for the last 3 or 4 bleeding seasons. You know, Robbo, best, you know, one of the best fullbacks in the history, probably the club in the last, certainly in the last 20, 30 years. And all of a sudden they're saying, oh, he's injured, that'll give Tsimikas. That's not the bleeding.
No.
That's not the point. That's not the fucking point.
I think we talked, sorry, cutting across you, Jack, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago where, like, we've become emotionally attached to these players, and I really mean that. Like, and Robbo is that prime example of coming from nowhere, having a slowish start, and then just coming in and grabbing his chance by the horns and just being first name on the team sheet every time. We need a squad, and we said it before, 15 is perfect. Sure he's out. We've discovered an absolute gem in Tsimikas, an absolute gem. Yeah. He's earned his chance, and this is going to happen. It happens at every club. Somebody gets a knock. We're lucky this time now that we're not bringing in a kid, which is great at times. And it's great to have them there. But now we've got somebody who's come in, proven international, can play, as Keith would talk about, great left foot, great delivery, and so another player who's really grabbed his chance when he's been given it. So I think it's positive for him. Desperately sad for Robbo. Like, great to have the two of them at your disposal. Just unfortunate that it's an injury that'll likely rule him out.
But the good news for Liverpool is it's a great option to have, isn't it? We've been crying out for that option for how many since Klopp's been there, and now we have the option. They're crying the other way. So I don't get it. I don't even reply to it on Twitter, to be honest. Just don't go there. You know?
It's a pretty silly season, isn't it, mate? It comes from it's only a small majority, and social media blows everyone up into different proportions, really. But we're so blessed to have 2 quality left backs, and it's very there. You go around clubs around Europe, and they haven't even got a player. It's different when you're looking at the other flank. Obviously, everyone's trying to not compare Trent and Nico. They're two completely different players. Obviously, we'd like a bit more in terms of level and quality, but Nico's still a very young lad. Both of them, Trent's 23.
He's playing well for Wales at the moment, isn't he?
He's had a great,
and even going forward, Nico, I think a couple of journals this week have done articles potentially playing Nico up front on the right hand side, potentially especially in AFCON. It's an option, Jurgen Klopp. There's one manager in world football that can get the best out of his players and utilise them in different positions. It's Jurgen, mate. But I'm just happy international duty is over for 4 months now, Reds as well. And we've seen some of our players go down, and even Mane got a good whack to his ribs, and you're like, whoa. But lucky enough, he was back in training this week, and he's back ready and there to go, especially against Arsenal. He loves to go against Arsenal, doesn't he?
No, well, Keith, welcome. Keith is in the house. Keith, are we all right?
How you doing,
Hey lads, how's it going? Sorry, just
very good.
Got stuck on day job, work calls, so just sorry
problem,
about that.
No, we're only 11 minutes in. We're just starting to chat about obviously how important. No, you've missed absolutely nothing. You missed nothing. I'll tell you what.
Make sure I don't start shouting on about the same stuff we've already been shouting on for the last 15 minutes. So,
what did you make for dinner? That's more important, I think, isn't it, Ivan?
Battered sausage.
I did
battered sausage.
Yeah, no battered sausage. I did yucksong. Yeah.
Oh,
no one any jokes. No one any jokes.
Yeah. Cream of some young yucksong.
Oh, indeed.
Where do I go from that?
God.
We're just talking about the big game, obviously, on Saturday. What do you think, Arsenal, Liverpool, Arsenal in town, Keith? I just said to Ivan and Jack, we get some great games against them historically. I'm expecting a good one on Saturday. What's your thoughts on the game?
I think they're arriving in. I think they're arriving in good form. It depends on their injuries. It depends on who they have available. To be honest with you, I think if Partey is available, that's a big plus to them. So I think we're probably playing them at probably a bad time in terms of how we are. I think it's all about us, to be honest with you. I think we need to bounce back. We need to bounce back in terms of our game management. I think we need to bounce back in terms of our defensive side of our game, to be honest with you. I think it's, there's probably more question marks around us at the moment due to the amount of chopping and changing that we've been doing. So particularly across, midfield and the back four. So, I think I think it's an unusual one, to be honest with you. Like if they'd have come to town over the last 3 or 4 seasons, I'd have been saying I'd be really, really confident that we'd turn them over quite handily. But this time I'm a little bit reticent, to be honest with you. I think they're in good form. They're arriving in a good place. They seem to have picked out a balanced side. I know there's a couple of international injuries, and I think that might stop them in their tracks. I think the likes of Partey, if he's injured, I think might really play into our hands. But I would have been hugely confident, over the years with this particular fixture. We always do well, and it's always a bit of a cakewalk. Although I'm just not too sure this time. I'm just not too sure, to be honest with you. I'm expecting a big reaction from West Ham, and I think the defensive side of our game really needs to step up now, to be honest with you. They really need to stand up now and be counted.
We're giving away far too many goals. We were too easy going through midfield. That was the problem, really. It was more the midfield, wasn't it?
Listen, like West Ham, when you look at West Ham, they've really cut us open once, maybe twice, which is fine. It's a massive big pitch, and otherwise it's a couple of defensive errors, 2 certainly by the goalkeeper, and you probably should have done better with the other one. You strip all that out. We've played poorly, but there was probably enough in that game for us to win it, to be honest with you, in terms of the possession, the chances. We've given them 2 from set pieces.
Yeah.
Can't deny that. And then, they've cut us open with that goal in between, to be honest with you, where Alisson maybe potentially 9 times out of 10 does better than that. So, but, we've been leaking goals. We've been leaking goals, and we've leaked goals against Brentford. We've been coughing up games from leading positions. So there's more question marks. There's still a lot of question marks around us in terms of where we are this season. That's the only thing I would throw out there for consideration, to be honest with you. And I think we've been largely unsettled, to be honest with you. And I think what we need now is we need a period of stability. So, and if Klopp went through Christmas, if he could, and if everybody was fit and nobody got injured, big fucking if, by the way, right? Big if. I'd near enough be kind of going, you make one change per fucking game, right? One, maybe 2. But this kind of stuff, walking in with 2 or 3 changes, different setup in midfield, whereby it's not just one change in midfield, it's 2, maybe 3 changes in midfield. Like, until we start getting some stability in there in terms of who we're playing, what people's roles and responsibilities are going forward, particularly into this period. This period is going to be critical for us. Absolutely critical for us. We can't afford to slip up coming into this period,
No, too many games ticking fast,
There's too many games ticking fast, and then we needed a degree of stability. Now, listen, sometimes that's taken out of your hands, to be honest with you, but everybody's up and everybody's fit. I'd be making very small changes for that side over this period of time, to be honest with you.
Other than we've had forced changes with injuries, and I see Andrew Scanlon here. Cheers, Dave. Hope all is well. With all the injuries in midfield, are there concerns with the medical staff? Lots of hamstrings. Do you know what the hamstrings, though? It's because we bloody play a high intensity game, and they do double training. You know that, don't you? Double and triple bleeding training. So the training at Liverpool is, hamstring.
I don't think there's any higher percentage of hamstring injuries than anybody else in the league.
No,
I really wouldn't.
No, our medical staff is brilliant, by the way.
It was knees last year.
Yeah.
It was all knee injuries last year, taking lads out left, right, and centre. So sometimes that's just the look of the draw. I don't think as a side we're pressing anywhere near the way we pressed 2 seasons ago, by the way, and we certainly didn't do it last season. There's a bit more to it. We're not the same animal.
We did it against Atletico Madrid at Anfield, I think. It was one of the few games. Now, they might give you a bit more time on the ball, Atletico, but they usually press as well.
Oh no, we did it in United and then Atletico.
Well, United.
I know United were poor, but we did it in those 2 games. I think Keith hit the nail on the head there. Like, there have been forced changes, but roles and responsibilities. We haven't just chopped and changed, players. We've also changed players' positions. So we put Henderson at 6. We put Henderson at 8. We brought in Ox. We brought in Ox and Curtis together. Haven't played before. So it's been a mishmash of both personnel and roles and responsibilities as Keith. And that's just a perfect storm. And again, I think we're a little bit more lucky this week. I don't think your man Arteta is the kind of coach who spends a whole lot of time coaching about what the opposition will be like. They'll definitely, I'd say Guardiola's probably the same, where they spend the last day of training and they look at, okay, we've done everything all week. Now let's have a look at what these guys do and do a couple of hours of the likes of Moyes, the likes of your man Graham Potter. I'd say a large portion of their training week is about the opposition and how they'll set up. So I think that's slightly to our benefit, and I think we'll see a kind of a slightly less attacking Arsenal. But it's the perfect game again, I said.
Well, they play with the 2 holding players now, don't they? That's why they haven't let in as many goals. So they're not as attacking as the famous Arsenals used to be.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a tough game. I really do. I think there might only be a goal in it, something like a 2-1, something like that.
And so do I. I think there's a good partnership brewing there between White and Gabriel. To be honest with you, at the back, that it does seem to be like a budding partnership. To be honest with you, now listen, they haven't played a huge amount of, I suppose, since City. They've really been on a fairly steady trajectory, and I think this is probably the toughest game, certainly on paper, they've had since that City match. I think they've got United coming up as well, and. Do they earmark United as being, a bit of a scalp for them to really keep them going? It really does depend. I think it's going to depend on what their setup is like. We could literally see an Arsenal side come to Anfield and set up super defensive. Literally 4-5-1, Aubameyang up front on his own. And then look what.
Or Lacazette.
I don't think they play Lacazette on his own if they play on his own. I think they play Aubameyang on his own if they're going to go on one up. I don't think it's Lacazette. I think Lacazette is more of a drop deep into a 10 position. But if they're looking for space in behind when they do a transition, they'll probably look for Aubameyang. They might look to say, right, when we turn over the ball, when we're pushed on to try and exploit the flanks, and they've probably got lads with, Smith Rowe and whoever they play on the other side to be able to get into those spaces. So they could come in and play super defensive and look to catch us on the counter attack.
It doesn't suit us playing like that against teams like that, does it? I like teams that are open. We all like
they've quality. They've got. If they have, Saka on one side and Smith Rowe on the other side, they've got quality that can hurt you.
That's
There's no two ways about that. He's not going to come and play football against us.
The high line that we played, the Bowen break was just shocking, and we're prime for this now with Smith Rowe and Saka, who are lightning fast with and without the ball.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'd still be confident. The other thing I was saying today beforehand, which is a huge, I think, evolution for Arsenal, is that they have the best offensive set piece record in the league. So they've brought some chap in, and very un-Arsenal like, but they've focused on corners, free kicks outside the box. And they've got some goals from that. They've got like a 46% conversion rate, which is huge compared to other teams, So he's building on his, principles of kind of pure football and ticky-tacky and pass it around and looking at the set piece as an area. And what worries me is West Ham targeted the set piece as well and targeted the keeper, keep it away from Van Dijk and throw it in on top of the keeper. So that's another.
He's not great. He's not great under the high ball, Alisson, is he? He never was great under the high ball,
He done that tweet this week. It's great when you can actually use your hands.
I seen it. The Brazil.
Yeah. After the game, he was like, "Oh, great."
I think he's got a point, because that could easily have been given as a free out. There was definitely contact. I'm clutching at straws here because they scored, but you could see it being given as a free out.
I personally, I love Alisson. I love Alisson, but I think as a goalkeeper, 6++ has to be stronger. I don't care. You have to be. You can use your arms. You have to be stronger.
He was probably on the red wine, Dave, wasn't he? So he might have had a couple of
that was only last night.
Yeah, but even probably calm his nerves against West Ham when the ball's getting whipped in.
I think where the ball just landed on top of him, so he didn't. It wasn't like it was on the penalty spot where he could get a run and kind of push out and punch it. It was just there on top of him, and
he was nearly going backwards because he wasn't able to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it should be somebody else's responsibility to shepherd whoever's in front of the keeper out there, and then you put one just inside the 6-yard box, with a bit of height, because if they know it's going to go in on top, and then that's it. But listen, he should be stronger, and not get distracted, because he got distracted for the second goal as well, to be honest with you.
Definitely.
He was more interested in pushing players off him than he was actually the flight of the ball coming into the box. So listen, lessons learned. I'm sure it'll be worked on, to be honest with you. And let's just chalk it down to one of those games. Listen, we've got one every season, to be honest with you. We've got some bit of madness from him in one game every season, to be honest with you. Sometimes we've got away with it, and sometimes we haven't. And
that's it. That's the thing about goalkeepers.
Last season, you didn't get away with it, and against West Ham this season, hopefully that's it. We move on.
You make a mistake as a keeper, you're usually punished. You know what I mean?
He's kept us in a lot of games this season, Ivan, as you rightly said.
Superb.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I have no complaints with Alisson, of course. But what I'm going to say is, guys, what do you think the starting 11? Obviously, Robbo's out, so it looks like Tsimikas is in. Keith, you'd be absolutely delighted with that. Tsimikas is in. Van Dijk, it has to be Van Dijk, Matip for me, and Trent and Alisson. And then the midfield is going to be interesting, but I think Henderson's going to be okay to start. Fabinho's back, very important. I think he might go Thiago, the Holy Trinity. And with Jota, Mane, and Salah. What do you think?
It's going to be so important, the midfield. Maitland-Niles got man of the match against Watford. One of the first games he's come back in. So their midfielders, especially that Lokonga, he's quite rapid. So their midfields, as the lads already mentioned, Smith Rowe and Saka, we need legs in midfield, and our midfielders are already injured. So I'd probably say Thiago doesn't rely on pace because he's so good technically, but there could be an issue really where if you do get him behind Thiago going backwards, he's not the best. So For me, that's who have we got, Dave? Obviously, Hendo got a knee injury, so is he 100%?
Yeah, well, I think Hendo's okay.
Yeah, so I'd go Fabinho, Henderson,
Thiago,
and Ox. For me, I know it's a
I'll be
big
very
shout.
sure.
I know it's against his old team, but we've just been speaking about consistent levels. Yes, you don't get that by just keep on dropping a lot. It's the whole midfield. He was very unlucky to get hooked off against West Ham because for me personally, he wasn't the worst midfielder on that pitch. But for me, I go with those three.
Okay.
Then all the lads just feel.
Yeah. Keith, what do you think? It's really the midfield three. You know, Tsimikas is probably in for Robbo, but other than that, it's the midfield three then, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd probably err towards, just because we're at home, and hopefully have a little bit more control and dominance in midfield. I'd probably go Thiago, to be honest with you. You know, I think if we can keep the ball away from them, it really negates an awful lot of what they have. They need a lot of possession. They need a lot of possession to create chances, to be honest with you. They're not a naturally counter-attacking side. They're more of a front foot side, to be honest with you. So I think if we can negate, and it's always been the way with Arsenal when they come to Anfield, to be honest with you, they're a front foot ball playing side. When you take the ball away from them and completely dominate them, they really don't have a plan B. Now, they've got a new manager in town, so it's interesting to see what they might be able to do. But if we've got Henderson, and Fabinho and Thiago playing as good as they can play, you'd like to think we're going to absolutely, command the football, and have a huge amount of time and have a huge amount of possession. And if that's the case, Sacco and Smith Rowe aren't necessarily ball-winning midfielders. I think we can bomb on and press them back into where they need to be pressed into defensive positions, which is not natural to them. So, and have them really just kind of operating off scraps, to be honest with you. I would prefer to do that. But there's also, I suppose, validity in looking at somebody in midfield who can break the lines, because you're not going to get Fabinho breaking the lines, Thiago breaking the lines, or Henderson breaking the lines, to be honest with you. So if they're playing a 4-5-1 and they're super defensive, we're relying on the front three to go and win us the game, to be honest with you, because there's not a huge amount of creativity from the middle of the park. So there are pluses and minuses for both. I would much rather start with Thiago and see how the game goes. And if we look like we're into the second half where we're all over them, right, and it's difficult to break them down, we'll then maybe introduce an Ox to try and see if he can do something from that perspective, as opposed to leading with him.
Yeah, that's what I would
maybe
do.
So
that's what I would do.
Yeah. So make a decent standpoint and establish yourself in the game of football, and then see what you need to do to get the win, if that's the case. But like, although they've done well, to be honest with you, I still think if we're on it, to be honest with you, that back four will give us chances, and then it comes down to
taking them.
Yeah. It comes down to conversion.
Yeah. Ivan, would you, the holy trinity of Thiago, Fabinho?
I don't know. Like, that's probably the likely one. But I'm looking at who's available, and the concern over maybe getting another injury, and maybe I think Ox is a good call there from
Keith.
From Keith and from
Jackie boy.
Jack was Ox,
and particularly because it was his former club. I'm wondering, does he change the system, and does he go 4-2-3-1 and bring somebody else in further forward, like maybe have Henderson and Fabinho as the two in front, and maybe bring somebody like Minamino or Origi in to support the three lads, because I think we're going to have loads of the ball, and maybe we don't need that three. The other question I have is, I'm not sure what the story was. Naby Keita, is he injured?
No, Naby's injured.
Is he? Yeah. I'd throw it out there. There's a possibility he might change the system and go 4-2-3-1 rather than the 4-3-3, just based on who he has. And then, if it's not working, obviously you've got the likes of Thiago or Chamberlain to come on.
Do you know what we're forgetting about? Just after coming to me mind there, Milner's fit, by the way.
Is he though?
If he's fit, then he's first man.
Am I right saying that? I seen him in the training. I seen him in the training pics.
Yeah, if he is,
I
then
just
that's
forgot
happy
about that. I
days.
think he might actually start in the midfield.
Yeah. If he's fit,
then you have the likes of Thiago and Ox on the bench if you really need them second half. You know what I mean? What do you think of that,
Milner's
Keeks?
fit, if Milner's fit, sorry, I'm cutting across there. He loves him, and he hasn't played for 2 weeks. Yeah. No, in fairness, I thought he was out. I thought he was injured.
No, as far I seen a picture. You know the way you see the Liverpool give out the training pics with Thiago and fucking Mane, even players that we thought might be, even Hendo. I'm sure I seen Milner dragging out one of them at the back. Check that out, Jackie boy, but I'm sure.
Yeah,
but I think it's just the midfield really for Liverpool, other than Tsimikas is in for Robbo because Robbo's out. I don't know what the hell happened to Curtis Jones, but did someone give him a punch or something? What happened to his eye?
It's his eye injury, isn't it? Something weird because he got caught.
A fingernail or something, yeah.
I thought that when he did go down a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was like contact lens or something, but it looks like he just his eyeball's been scratched or something. So it could be it's a mad one. That.
And do you know what's good for us as well? We can actually relax on this game because that game midweek Champions League game. It could have meant a lot more than it does. You know, it could have been we need to win that game. We need to get into the group stage. That we don't even have to think about that game. That's almost a dead rubber. I know we want to win it and all that, but all eyes on Arsenal at Anfield. I saw a million training pick. Yeah, I'm sure I did. Cedric Lopez in the house. How are you, Cedric? Hopefully you're well. But another great picture I did see was young Harvey Elliott running in the pictures. And I know he's not going to be fit or probably even this side of Christmas, but that was a great sight, wasn't it?
Yeah, tremendous to see him back. And very much what we've needed. We've just been discussing the midfields. What he was doing the first couple of weeks into the Premier League season, I think all of us, the majority of us, probably expect him to play like the 5th or 6th choice attacker, or possibly another loan to a Premier League side this season. But Jürgen went with him, went bold, no, he's going. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, and he's tremendous. I love him and Salah and Trent down that right hand side.
Triangle, yeah.
It was such a great triangle of plays, but fingers crossed, it's positive. Obviously, players are that young, they recover a lot quicker, but it's important that we do take our time with them because we don't want to be rushing them.
No, of course. I think it'd be January before you see him at least.
Yeah, I think when he went out, like the concern was whether he'd play again this season. So if we get him for 10 games, 15 games, even after Christmas,
it's a bonus.
It's going to take some time.
Because he really was. Yeah, it was like a new play. Like I don't think any of us could get over the impact that he made when he came in. It really was like having a new quality signing in the side, and it'll be like that again when we get him back in. So treat him with kid gloves. Be careful.
Yeah, he is only a kid, by the way.
Yeah. I'd just like to see us what we're going to do now in terms of the block of games that we have coming up, because we're, it really, like, realistically, when you look at the fixture list, the run into December pretty much starts now. Like there's a game, there's 2, maybe 3 games a week from this weekend. There's very little breaks. It's fucking intense. It's not even a December intenseness. It's intense from now. It's now. It's the weekend. It's Champions League. It's a league match. It's League Cup. It's a league match. It's Champions League again. It's and then we're into December. And then there's a match every 3 or 4 games. So it's intense. So I think it's really important that we start off the next couple of games, that we start building momentum. You need to have momentum going into December. You really do. You can't be patchy, scrappy going into December, because if you are, typically you are patchy, scrappy throughout that month. So you need to be in a situation whereby you're just chalking them off. Everyone knows what they're doing. We're in a winning mentality. So the next 2 to 3 games for us, like I'd even be kind of going, can we really afford to start putting out, absolute kids against Porto, right? And break the momentum, and maybe concede a goal or 2 and chalk off From my perspective, I think we need to be on the front foot going forward, to be honest with you. We need some consistency in terms of the lineup. And like, if we're at the stage now where we're kind of going resting players left, right, and fucking centre because we're afraid of injuries, we should have fucking strengthened in the summer. It's as simple as that. We should have strengthened in the summer, right? So if we're doing that now, we're then you know what? Someone's taking their eye off the fucking ball. So at this point in time, I think we need to be going strong. We need to be
I think we've heard the chat Klopp had after the game that we qualified that night, and he said he's going to go strong on both games, even though they're dead rubbers, because I think they were $2.5 million a game, something like that. I know that the money doesn't mean huge, but
listen, it's $2.5 million. No matter what way you look at it, it's $5 fucking million. It's someone's wages, so that's absolutely fine. But I think he when he's saying that, he realizes now that we've been way too patchy in the season, So, and I think everyone's been a little bit patchy. That's why it's so close and so tight at the top. Everyone's been a little bit patchy, to be honest with you. But at some point,
international break hasn't helped as well, Keith.
What?
Which
the international break hasn't helped.
No, it hasn't.
2 international breaks.
Yeah, but we were patchy enough at the start as well, lads. So we've been patchy in between, the Champions League. So I think, and a lot of the times you look at it because there's been some injuries and changed lineups and inconsistencies. To be honest with you, I think he needs to kind of go, if fit, right? This is my starting 11. This is the strongest 11 I have out there in the pitch. And lads, you're going to play with a couple of changes, left, right, maybe one change. But this is what we have, and this is our best team going forward. And this is how I want you to play. Because if we keep swapping and changing 2-3 players, and particularly changing 2 or 3 players every fucking midfield, like it's going to be a patchy season no matter what way you look at it, and we're not going to win this league.
No,
that's the long and short.
No, I can understand you. I know what you're saying. You need consistency. Consistency with a consistently picked team that gets you consistency on the pitch usually gets consistent results. But that's why I think Saturday's huge. I mean, if you don't win Saturdays, let's say you even draw. A draw's not worth a fuck. Draws are no use.
No. Too many draws already.
You've got to win that game. You just don't care about the performance. It's about the 3 points and no injuries for me. I mean, if we win that game 1-0, a horrible game, 1-0, I'll take it all day bloody long, to be honest. That's it for me. Because as you said, Keith, it's nearly like the start of a season now. The winter's coming in. That's gone. The break's gone. The West Ham game is over. Forget about its history. Learn your lessons. Move on. Games are coming thick and fast now. It's game. You don't even have time to think, So that's why Saturday's huge. And I'm confident we will get 3 points because we have such a good record against them. But I think we got to bring your A game. Sometimes your B game is good enough against Arsenal, but I don't think it will be this time.
I think the only issue I have is, like, if you look at the run that we had 2 years ago when we won the league, the November, December, January period, we didn't have the Carling Cup or Caribou, whatever it's called, but we did have the World Club Championship. And in the league, I think we got 24 out of 27. And to Keith's point, I'd say if you looked at that team, the team who played the games in the Premiership, exactly that. Tweak. Same team. Rattle. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, bum.
Bang.
Yeah. Bang. And we're coming out of that, we were going 24 points out of 27. Now you're having a laugh. It was superb. So that's what we need to
listen. It's okay to tweak. It's okay to have a look at players and say, right, he needs a rest. Fine. But when you have to wholesale change your entire midfield, within the space of a fortnight, based on different games, based on different permutations because players are injured, and then you've got massive. We've also been necessarily or unnecessarily changing the back two, particularly over the last month and a half, centre half partnership. I know we need to rest players and stuff, but maybe we just need to have a go at this and say, right, okay, we're half a season, we're approaching half a season in, no injuries. Let's just see how much of a 3 or 4 game block we can get out of a centre partnership, and we have to develop a partnership. And if something happens, we'll bring somebody else in, and then we look at another centre half.
But who is it? It's Van Dijk and Matip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is. And like I'm saying, don't play him midweek. Okay, if you're going to make a change, don't play him against Porto. Don't play him against Milan, but keep him for the league games.
Oh yeah.
So let's be clever in terms of who we're changing around and who we're rotating, right? Now, if it's forced upon us that we have to make that change, well, then we make that change, and then we establish a partnership with those 2 players. But bringing one lad in and one lad out and changing it around the place, I don't think it's helping us, to be honest with you. I don't think it's helping us one bit. So sometimes you've got to make some decisions in terms of, player welfare, all the rest. But most of the other teams, if players are fit, they play them and they make decisions when they're injured.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Probably a little bit nervous because of what happened last season.
Yeah.
And maybe
so guys, I think we leave it there. We'll be 40 minutes in. We'll just give you our scorelines. I'm going to go 2-1.
I've only just joined.
Sorry, we can stay on for 50 minutes if you want.
He was only getting going there.
Yeah,
I know. He's only starting to look. Wind up.
I know. Jack loves a cup of tea around this time, so
he has one.
No, it's got it. Oh, that's even prepared. I'm here as long as you want, Dave. I'm happy to hear.
I know you're probably going on to another one after this.
Yeah, no, but it's an important one with the. Would you play in that case Ibu and Gomez in the cup games and possible Champions League games? I know we've been discussing
the Carabao Cup. Don't care. So
the Champions League games, you mean?
Champions League. I played one of them. You know, you still need a partnership there, and I think it's still important. So I'd switch one of them. You know, and I don't think Kanate I thought was superb against United, but he was a little bit flaky in a couple of the other games. The previous league game he played, he seemed to be jumping in a little bit. So he's still finding his feet. So I'd be cautious with him. But I'd be going Matip and Van Dijk. And +1 over those games, and just see how much we can get out of Matip. You know, the other thing, Gomez is apparently unhappy with game time, and with the World Cup coming up, he wants to play. You know,
he's been up and down, to be honest with you. So that's all well and good now, saying I want this and I want that, but like he hasn't exactly
do it on the pitch, baby.
In some of the matches where that's it. But like I agree with you, but I think Porto's important. Like if we need to go strong Saturday, and we need to go strong Porto, and I'd even say we need to go strong the following weekend, right? And then maybe we can mess things around. But the last game is always a dead rubber, right? The last Champions League game, if we're qualified, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay for us to maybe put out
in the San Siro.
Yeah, kids in the San Siro, right? And then that doesn't have an effect, to be honest with you. But what we don't want to do is upset the apple cart with our home form. Home form is going to be absolutely important. So let's make sure that we double down. We've got 2 home games. Come out of these next 2 home games with 6 points. The kickoff times and everything else. Crowd behind us. Build up a huge amount of kind of that energy. That
momentum. It's momentum. Yeah,
it's momentum going forward, right? San Siro is San Siro. Give the kids a run out, whatever the fuck it is. It's a dead rubber. We've qualified, haven't won 5 out of 6 games or whatever else it is. No one will.
We've 3 league games between Porto and Milan. We've got Southampton on the Saturday, Everton away on the Wednesday, Wolves on the 4th of December, and then Milan away. So 3 tough games.
Tricky.
And I think is it Leicester Chelsea this weekend first. 12 kickoff. Yeah. And all these teams we've been discussing tonight, lads, everyone in chat on with the international break. We can speak about Liverpool, but I think Chelsea are quite depleted in terms of all their South American players. So if Leicester, Brendan does us a little favour, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket.
Arklow Town moved our kickoff on Saturday to 3:00.
Oh no!
In Arklow,
it's going to take you at least an hour to get down there. It's always raining. So bring a second set of tracksuits, right? You'll get a nice cup of tea down there. I know the chairman Joe is
won't be hanging around.
Won't be hanging around. You're gonna miss the first half, aren't you?
What's 5:30?
Yeah,
it's 5:30. Yeah,
4:00, 35 minutes each way. Stick on the turbos.
Helicopter at this stage.
Oh, just get the iPad on the side of the pitch, mate. Just get someone.
I'm driving, Jack. Can't do that when I'm driving.
Oh, but you were there on the side of the pitch, mate. Oh.
All right, lads.
Yeah. Listen, I think we leave it there. Scorelines, I'm going 2-1 Reds. Confident enough, but we got to bring our A game or else we're not getting 3 points.
3-1. I'll go Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we might turn up from a defensive perspective. I think we have to. I think we will. And I'm going to go 3-0 home.
Woo! Nice. Ivan.
A conservative 2-0.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Guys,
we should record these. We should record these and do a table at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And
any time assist for Tsimikas.
Ooh, yes. His delivery is
like
DHL.
I like that.
Keith will definitely like that. Lovely like that. Guys, enjoy your weekend and hopefully Liverpool get the 3 points. Thanks for the comments, guys. Hit the like button. Hit the share button.
You too, lads. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Cheers. Stay safe.